Good morning and happy Purim. We're on 51A, third line from the top. We're in the middle of proving, uh, proving or demonstrating that the carbon mincha of the Kohen Gadol, the daily carbon, is Docha Shabbos, so that you can prepare everything, even things that you could have prepared in advance before Shabbos. Nonetheless, it's something that's allowed on Shabbos. We had so far three or four proofs, and now we're going off on a bit of a tangent. So let's start with the second line. Rava Amar al Machalas. The Torah says this mincha is done in a pan. It has to be done in a kli sharis, the pan. The afilame asmon. If you do that the day before, ipsalai belina, then it's something that stayed overnight, kachim that were that remained overnight and becomes puzzle belina by staying overnight. So therefore, you have to. There's no option other than to make it on Shabbos itself. Tani Kavasi to Rava, we have a proof for Rava. Al Machmas Mamishutunakli, same thing. Now, Bashaman, this brisa continues. It has to be done with oil. Lahosif la shaman. You have to add oil. Then you come up. It doesn't say how much oil. How rainy done. So figure it out. Never kan shaman. Never hal nusachim shaman. We also find the milcha that comes with the nusachim for a carbon also needs oil. And there we know how much. And there the Torah tells us use 3 lug per lug of oil per isar on the flour. Here too we're going to use the same measure. Maybe that's not the way to understand it. Wait, maybe we should compare it to a minchas nedava, a voluntary mincha, where it also uses the word oil. Malahal and log echad, afkan log echad. There you use only 1 log of shaman per isar on a flour. So near lemidama. So which one are we going to figure it out from? Done in tabasht mi tabasht. What is a Rashi Tevos for tadir? The minchas nesachim is tadir. It's regularly done. Like that's every carbon has minchas nesachim, and so does the mincha of the Kohen Gadol is also regular. It's daily, and ba'chova it's a required. Both of these are required. Docha Shabbos, they're both prepared on Shabbos in violation of the usual Shabbos rules. And Docha Tuman, they have to be done even if it's Tame. Vein danin tabashed misheina tabashed. But those four things do not apply to the Minchas Nadava. So when we determine which amount of oil we're going to use for the Minchas Kohen Gadol, are we going to use the amount of oil that's used for Minchas Nesachim or for Minchas Nadava? We'll choose Minchas Nesachim because it's otherwise more similar. The Gemara says, so maybe not. Dani Yagil mi Yagil. You know what? There are four ways where the Mincha of the Kohen Gadol is similar to the Minchas Nadava, and that's the Rashi Tevos of Yagil. Yachid, it's an individual does it. So the Kohen Gadol is an individual, and the Nadava is brought by an individual. Biglal Atzma. It's not accompanying anything else, right? It's like you have a minchas nesachim, you have a minchas nedava, that's all you bring. You have the mincha of the Kohen Gadol, that's all you bring. Whereas minchas nesachim is an auxiliary to another carbon, so that's not so similar. And yain, also there's wine brought with it, with both of these, and levona and levona mixed into the as kataras. And these things do not apply to the minchas nesachim. So let's use the minchas nedava to demonstrate how much oil is used for the minchas kohen gadol. Rabbi Shmuel ben Oshel, Rabbi Yochanan ben Rokon, where someone's mincha tamid. Here's another source. The minchas kohen gadol, it says somos mincha tamid. It's used fine flour for mincha regularly, or he translates here perpetually. Tamid, it's every day. Harehi lecha kemichas tamidin, and here we're going to use the word tamid So you understand that it's going to be like the carbon tamid. Ma minchas tamin shlosh lugin lisaron, avzav shlosh lugin lisaron. In what way will they be similar? By using 3 log of shemen per isaron of flour. Rabbi Shimon Omer, riba kan shemen, riba minchas the kvasim shemen. Here's another indication of how you figure out how much oil to use for the minchas kohen gadol. Um, Here in the case of the minchas kohen gadol, um, I think the idea is that, yeah, we know that you're going to use oil, but by using the word shaman, it means add more oil. Which of the possible models have more oil? The Minchas Nesachim has 3 log of oil, so let's use that one. Malahan shloshos lugim nisaron, afkan shloshos lugim nisaron. So use 3 log of oil. Al kol echad derech zo, maybe not. Riba kan shaman, riba minchas parim ve'elim shaman. The extra shaman word is used. The mincha of bulls and rams. Malahon shnei lugin lisar, nafkan shnei lugin lisar. Maybe we should use that as a model, which only is 2 lug per isaron of flour. Near lamidama. So which one are we going to use? Dani mincha bab isaron, mincha bab isaron, vein dani mincha bab isaron, mincha bab shnayim ushlosha esronim. You know how they're different? The minchas kohen gadol and the minchas parim ve'elim, they use more flour. There's 2 or 3 isar on the flour. So if we're going to compare the minchas, if we're going to find a model for the minchas kohen gadol, how much oil to use, find another carbon like the tamid that only has 1 isar on the flour, and see how much oil we use there, which is 3 log. We use that as the model. Um, so Hagufa Kasha, wait a second. You're contradicting yourself. Marta b'shaman lahosif l'shaman v'hadartani never kan shaman never minchas nedava shaman. Um, First you said that the first we said that that b'shaman means to add lahosif l'shaman. What we just said, add more oil, and then you also said shaman, which we use already for to connect it to the Minchas Nedava. Rabbi Mantan B'Shem and Lahosif. Which Tana is this? We're talking about Rabbi Shimon. He Vilu Lo Nemar Kamar. Um, in other words, he's saying that it's not that we're using this word as a limud, right? We're using the word as a limud for something else. However, if we hadn't used the word for a limud, the plain meaning of it would be um, uh, the plain meaning of it would be to connect it to the other thing that uses 1 log of shaman. So in this circumstance, you can use the word in 2 ways. Rav Huna Breda Rabbi Yeshua Amar Kula Rabbi Shmuel ben Oshel Rabbi Yochanan Broka. It's not Rabbi Shimon. We can understand it all as Rabbi Shmuel. V'hachi Kamer. This is how we understand the word bashaman. Bashaman lahosif lashaman. The word bashaman means use more oil, um, more than 1 log. De'i likbo hashaman lo sarich. Like we don't need it to say use oil. Kevin al machwas kemichas machwas tamya. Since it's made in a pan, where you're going to put dry flour in the pan? Of course not. You have to do it like any other minchas machvas, any other mincha that's made in the pan, which is used with oil. So I know already you're going to put in oil. The fact that the Torah uses the word b'shaman that use oil, that tells me um, um, that tells me that I need more than the usual amount of oil, and then we go looking for the 3 log model. Oh, I know, like, well, shaman. Well, maybe not. Maybe you do need the word shaman to tell you that you use oil. Maybe otherwise I wouldn't use oil. There is another model of mincha that doesn't use oil. Minchas chote, a sin offering, a mincha of a sinner. So Hadar Amar. So then we say. So then we then say Tehavi Nami Likbala Shaman. Okay, so let it be so that that the word shemen it comes to tell you that you actually have to use oil. Tese medina, um, because but I would have I could still use a kal v'chomer. V'dandina v'lo asyale. Um, a second. You could get the three log rule from Medina, from like from from a drash. Um, Hashem takes Medina, but Daniel Asilai. Oh, the Daniel Asilai. He tried to drash, but it didn't work. V'itzracha cross solas mincha tamid. That's why Rabbi Shalom Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka ends up using the derivation of solas mincha tamid, comparing it to the tamid that uses three log. Kedusayim Rabbi Shmuel will say as he ended up saying. Um, Okay. Rabba Amar, Kula Rabbi Shimon. Ve'ilu lo nemar kamar. Rabba says, no, the whole thing is Rabbi Shimon. The whole Rai says is Rabbi Shimon, and Rabbi Shimon is using the idea of ilu lo nemar kamar. Like, even if it weren't, if Vavi kamar, here the Gemara is going to spell it out. B'shaman lahosif lashaman. Okay, so the word b'shaman means add more oil, not just one lug. Dilik bo lashaman losarich. You don't need the word shaman to tell you use oil at all. Kevin dichsi ba'al machvas, because it's a pan offering. The pan offering always uses oil. K'michas damya. K'machvas damya. It's like the other pan offerings which use oil. So I know you use oil. Vashlo yeyamar b'shaman yeshlo bedin. Um, and even if it didn't say Bashaman, um, even if it hadn't said Bashaman, I would have been able to figure it out as follows: V'dandina v'lo um, he then you would try to figure it out, but that was already negated by the Gemara. Asr b'shaman. It ends up that we need the word b'shaman to tell you it's more than one logo. Well, Hadar Amar Tevek Michas Parvi Elim, and that's why he uses the analogy to the minchas nesachim of Parim and Eli. Hadar Amar, and then Rabbi Shimon says, Dani mincha haba bisar, and that's where he comes up with his final idea, which is you figure it out from the mincha that comes with one isaron, which is not the elim and parim, but the minchas nesachim of kavasim. That's why he uses that ultimately because the other ways are blocked. But so it turns out you could understand this price either according to Rabbi Shimon or Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi who was the other one? Somebody ben Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka. Each has their own analogy, and it's indicated by a pasuk, it's indicated by uh, which one they prefer to use as the model. But it all comes out the same anyway. We use three loaves of shaman for one isaron of the minchas machvas of the kohen gadol. Okay, next Mishnah. Lo minu kohen achar tachtov mishalmi haisakreva. So the Mishnah was in the middle of discussing what happens if the kohen gadol brings his morning mincha and then he dies. So until now, the Mishnah has talked about if they on the same day they appointed new kohen gadol. So how do you proceed? Now, what if they didn't yet appoint a new kohen gadol? So now you have the vacant post, and you have the morning mincha has been offered of the kohen gadol, and there's no one to offer the afternoon one. Bishalmi haisakreva. So the mission assumes that somebody's going to do it, the afternoon one. So who is it? Whose flour do you use? Rabbi Shimon Omer Mishil Tzipor. Rabbi Shimon says you go to the communal coffers and get some flour from there. And Rabbi Yehuda Omer Mishal Yarshin. No, it's still from the personal funds of the Kohen Gadol from his estate, from the deceased Kohen Gadol from his estate. Ushlema Haisakreva. And also, the whole tenth of an ephah was used. The whole Asiri Saifa the whole measure of flour was used, not the half, which is this is a new factor, a new feature here, which we haven't seen before. So Gemara says, Tan Rabban, Kohen Gadol shemeis lo minu kohen lacher tachtav. What happens in this case where the Kohen Gadol dies and you haven't yet replaced him? B'nai shetei min chazak misha yarshin. How do I know that you use his estate money for the flour for the afternoon one? By the way, nobody's addressed yet, like who does the avoda? Who brings this carbon? It's not the dead Kohen Gadol because he's dead. So I assume that somebody else brings it. The main thing is that it has to come from his funds. That seems to be the main feature here.
They also never talk about who and how, who appoints the Kohen Gadol and how that happens.
Yeah, that's a good point too.
I mean, if what if there's nobody around of the committee or whoever it is to appoint one? You could go days or weeks or months without.
Right, or you could have competing claims, which actually
Oh
happened,
yeah,
right? Which actually happened
right. Which
in the
actually
Second
happened.
Temple.
It's
Yeah,
like the multiple popes that the church had in the Middle Ages.
a constitutional crisis could result.
That's right.
Yeah. Anyway, so how do you know this Brisa says? How do you know that his estate that pays for the flour? So in referring to the future Kohen Gadol Kohanim Gadolim do this will do this carbon. So by HaKohen Mashiach tachtav mi banav yaseh. So you take the money you take it from his children, meaning from his estate. Um, Yacha Yakrivena, I mean, because his estate goes to his children, obviously. Yacha Yakrivena Chatzayin. Now, what about this idea that you have to bring the holy saron in the afternoon from the deceased Kohen Gadol's flour? Maybe you should do only half of it, like we usually do. So Talmud Lomar Osa, it. Yaseh Osa. So in talking about succession, HaKohen Mashiach Tachtav Mibanav, the new one, the new Kohen Gadol, and here it seems to indicate it's dynastic, right? But leaving that aside, Yasa Osa does it kula v'lo chatzia, meaning the holy sorrow. Rabbi Yehuda, that's what Rabbi Yehuda says. Rabbi Shimon Omer chak olam, mishel olam. Kolil taktar should take kula b'haktara. Both rules are derived from a different phrase, chak olam, um, which usually means forever, like it's a permanent statute. But here he's using the word olam, mishel olam, from a different meaning of the word olam, which means from everyone, meaning from, um, wait, am I saying this right? Yeah, mishel olam, from everyone, meaning from the communal coffers. And klil taktar, um, uh, like all goes up in smoke. Shetekula baktar kalil kol, like the word kalil, all of it indicates to use the holy sorrow. V'hai hakohen Mashiach lahachid yasas. The Gemara says, wait a minute. You wanted to use the first view was Rabbi was the anonymous one. You want to use this verse hakohen Mashiach. We're using that already. That is used for different things. This is the carbon of the induction ceremony. This is the carbon that they bring biyomi mashachos, so on the day that they're being inducted. Maybe they all participate. All Aaron and all his sons participate in the miluim in one carbon. Talmud Lomar Asher Yakrivu Lashem uses the plural. They will sacrifice to God. Aaron bifnei atzmo, one bifnei atzmo. So it's a plural. So Aaron does one carbon of the miluim, and his sons could participate in one other. Banav Elukoim Hadyadas. Now, what is now we're using this as a model for the future. So Banav, the sons of Aaron, that's the model for regular Kohanim. Atom Kohen, and so therefore we know so therefore we get the idea that um, that I think in the future, when each Kohen who gets inducted, he has to bring this mincha, just like Aaron's sons did at the Miluim. Atomer Kohen with Yotos, so I know Kohen Gedolim. Maybe no, maybe there is no induction mincha for regular Kohanim. Maybe it's only for the Kohen Gadol. Kishu Omer Kohen Mashiach Tachton Mibanav. So now we use this pasuk, the Kohen, the anointed Kohen, who comes from his descendants, the new Kohen Gadol Harei Kohen Gadol. We're already saying it already tells you that the Kohen Hamashiach, the Kohen Gadol, brings an induction mincha. So we know that already from this pasuk. Halmani Mekayim Banav. So the word mi Banav. Elu Kohanim had yotos. That must refer to the regular Kohanim induction. But anyway, we're using this pasuk already for something else. Yimkein lichtov. So the word says Yimkein lichtov hakohen hamashiach tachtav banav yaseh. It does. You have the extra letter mem mi banav. My mi banav shamas minei tarta. You can get two things from it. Rabbi Shimon. So what about Rabbi Shimon, who has the opposite view about the where we got this from? So what do you have this extra word osa? Hi osa. My Avilai, when you use that word, he's not using it to tell you that it's a full isaron. Telling you that, yeah, he has to bring a full measure. The new guy has to bring a full measure. He can't just top up, he can't use the half that was left over from the deceased Kohen Gadol and top it up with another half to make a full isaron. No, he has to bring a full isaron of his own. V'teiv blaming umachsisa, umachsisa, like and half of it. Machsisa b'voker, machsisa b'erev, half of it in the morning and half of it in the afternoon. Vav l'darish. No, Rabbi Shimon doesn't go with this using vavs as just a regular way of writing. For Rabbi Yehuda, chakol my avilei. Oh, so now we're about Rabbi Yehuda. What does he use the verse chakolam? Right? He already has a way to know that it comes from the it comes from no, he doesn't agree that it comes from the communal coffers. He says it comes from the new Kohen Gadol's money in the first place. So what do you use this chak olam for? That Rabbi Shimon used to tell you that rule. Chuka liolam tehei means like what it says. It's a permanent statute. Khalil Taktar Lamali, and then what about the words? It all goes up in smoke. So Rabbi Shimon said, no, yeah, Rabbi Shimon has said Khalil means all of it, meaning all of it has to come from the new coin. So but Rabbi Yehuda already knows that. So what does he use Khalil Taktar for? Khalil Taktar. Um, we only know so far that the um um one second. Okay. Ein li ela Yona, like the first phrase, the first oh, yeah. Okay. So the Torah tells us about, the first tells about the Minchas Kohen Gadol, and then tells us about the Mincha of a regular Kohen. So we're going to call that Yona is the first one, the Minchas Kohen Gadol, and the Tachtona, the second one, the last one, is the Minchas Kohen, the regular Kohen. Um, and about the first one, it says Khalil Taktar, it all goes up in smoke. About the last one, the regular Kohen, it says Lo Teachel, it doesn't get eaten. Right now, functionally, it seems to be the same thing, right? Either it all gets burnt. If it all gets burnt, obviously you can't eat it. If you can eat it, it didn't all go up in smoke. But how do you know that you apply each one to the other? Meaning that I guess that there's a mitzvah saseh to burn it and a mitzvah lo taseh not to eat it. Talmud Khalil Khalil Xer Shabbat. That's why we use the word Khalil. Never kan Khalil. Never lahalan Khalil. Ma lahala ma kan b'Khalil taktar. Kan af lahalan b'Khalil taktar. So they're using the word Khalil to apply the rules of each to the other. Malahan litin lo taseh al chilasa. Of kan litin lo taseh al chilasa. What is the point? To have an extra prohibition not only do you have to burn it, but if you don't burn it, then you're mevatel naseh. You didn't fulfill the mitzvah naseh. But if you eat it, that's a separate prohibition. Now, going back to Rabbi Shimon and Rabbi Huda, Savar Rabbi Shimon Mishal Tzibur Deraisa. Does Rabbi Shimon really think that the rule that you bring the new Kohen Gadol to Isaron from communal funds, that's a Torah rule? Well, it's not. We have a Mishnah. I'm Rabbi Shimon. Shimon's Rambam Hiskinu Beis Din. Zeh Echad Mehan. There were seven takanos that the Beis Din made, and this was one of them. This is one of them. And what are they? Goisha Shalach Alasa Mibdina Sayam, a non-Jew, sends an Ola to the Beis Hamikdash from abroad. Shalachim Nasachim, craving Mishalo. If he sends the accompanying Nasachim, the wine with it, then use that. Lav craving Mishal Sibor. But if he only sent the animal and he didn't send the Nasachim, so we take communal funds to because every carbon has to come with Nasachim. V'chein ger shemeis, and similarly a ger who died, v'hiniach zvachim, and he had in his possession he had things that were designated for sacrifices, but he died. Now there's no one to bring them. Yeshul nesachim krevim mishalah. So somebody's got to bring that carbon. And if he had in his estate nesachim, if he had wine, then use that. Love krevim mishal sibur. If there was no wine, then you'd go to the communal funds. It's not basinu. And it's a something that was and here's something that was a Tanai Basin is like a condition applied by the basin. Condition is not really the right word, but it was the authority of the court establishes this the following: Kohen Gadol shemesh v'lo minu kohen achar tachtav. Kohen Gadol dies, and after the morning mincha, and they don't have a new one yet. Shatei minchaso kreivim mishel tzibur. Use communal funds for it. So it's a based in establishment, not a Torah thing. So what do we need to, why are we looking for psukim? Shtei takanos havo. Um, there were actually two aspects of this. Daraisa minatzibur. Really, it's from the Torah that you use communal funds. Lishka. But when, like, what was happening was that there were too many demands on the temple treasury. Um, so I guess maybe not just from this, but like where they all where there such frequent demises of the Kohen Gadol during the day that they had to use so
Mhm.
much flour. I mean, it's just an isar on the flour. I don't remember how much it is, but it's flour. It's like, but I don't know, maybe it means that there were a lot of demands on the temple treasury, and so they were looking for ways to economize. Takinu dilagabe miyarshim. So the Beis Din made a rule that really we're supposed to get this money, this flour from the tzibur, from the treasury, but let's put the and if they were really dying at a great rate, that was probably during the period of corruption of the office of Kohen Gadol, and there was a lot of money involved, right? That's why people wanted to be the Kohen Gadol. It was lucrative. So let's take the money from the estate. Came with the chazan to Kaf Hashive, but then what happened was it wasn't working. What happened was there was no carbon. The heirs didn't want to donate the flour, or maybe it was like other things as well that they didn't want to use the estate money for. So things weren't happening, and these carbonos weren't being brought. So they went back. So they went back to the Torah rule. Um, okay, so that's an interesting historical tidbit there. And then now going back to the list of other things that the seven things that basically implemented in the Mikdash. V'al parah shelo yehu mo'olin be'efra d'oraisa. Um, uh, and they established a rule about the paraduma that. Um, Shumolin be'efra, shalayu molin be'efra, that you can't do that. Meila doesn't apply to the ashes of the paraduma. Um, so that was one of the things the Gemara says daraisa, but that's a Torah rule. The Tanya chatasi melamed shemolin ba, because we have the words about the paraduma chatasi. It is a chatas, meaning that it's like considered like a carbon chatas, and of course, if you misuse it, then That's Me'ilah, Malam Shalom. He, but Malin, Chatas, he, um, from the extra word he. No, so the Gemara answers, wait a second. He, uh, 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 Oh yeah, yeah. The paraduma itself, if you misuse it, then that me'ilah applies. But Ephraim, but once it's become ashes, ain't moaling. Then it's no longer subject to me'ilah. So it's a Torah law that there's no me'ilah for the ashes of a paraduma. Why are you saying it's a based law? Ravashi shtei takanos havai. Same thing. There's a historical background. Doraisa ba Bafra and Malin. The Torah law is you can't be, there's no Me'ilah with the ashes. Kevin the Chazal come to So then, people said, oh, the ashes of the Paraduma, there's no restriction on its use. So people would, take some home as a souvenir or whatever. Because they minei l'makasan. Oh, they'd use it as some kind of a salve. A medical use. So then they said, you know what? We better establish that there is Me'ilah applying to the ashes of the paraduma. Kevin the Chazal Parshe Misvei Kazos. Then what happened was, if you're Tame, you definitely need the paraduma ashes, right? But what if you're not sure if you're Tame? So, if there was no cost, right? So you say, all right, I might be tummy. I better go become tahar with the ashes of the paraduma. But now that the basically made this rule that if you use the ashes of the paraduma improperly, you're subject to me'ilah. Then people would shy away from it, right? So okmei deraisa. So then they put back the Torah rule that no, really, it's fine. There's no me'ilah with paraduma. If you think you might be tummy, you should. There's no downside in going ahead and doing the Tara procedure. And we will stop here for today. I'll let you all go off to your Megillah readings and other mitzvahs of Purim. Have a good day, and David will pick it up here tomorrow.
That's your call.